Now, on this first day of the month of May, it's Mississippi State and Ole Miss for the fourth time this year. Series was played at Oxford this year. Rebels got 2 out of 3. We are thrilled to be joined by our friend Ron Polk, longtime head baseball coach at Mississippi State. Took 3 different programs in 4 different coaching stints to the College World Series. And, Coach, I was counting it up earlier. I counted 17 40-win seasons in your head coaching career. So good to see you.
Good to see you.
When you think back on your career, is there anything that stands out?
Longevity.
That's a good start.
My first coaching job was a graduate assistant at the University of Arizona in Tucson, got my master's, and they made me the third base coach. And we went to Omaha, and I was 22 years old, third base coach. And I said to myself, this is kind of fun. I think maybe that's what I want to do. But that's a long time ago.
At that point, did you know that you wanted to coach baseball? But well, prior to that?
You know, I was a physical education major. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Got a graduate assistant, not in baseball, but teaching, you know, the weightlifting and the freshman classes that nobody wanted to take. And I just happened to walk into Frank Sanson's office, who was a longtime coach there, very, very successful, and just asked him if he needed anything to be done. I can come out and, you know, shag and hit fun. I never fungoed in my life, but you know I could learn it never through batting practice. And he embraced me, and he was always having a third base coach being the pitching coach. He called me in about a week before the first game and said, "Ron, listen, our pitching coach wants to be in the bullpen during the games. He feels like he'd be better there, and I'm too old. And so you're gonna be the third base coach." And I said, I'd never done that before, you know, making decisions, signals. He said, "We'll train you." And sure enough, I third base coach for about 65 games with the Arizona Wildcats, 1966.
And then you stayed in the third base coaching box for your entire career, right?
Even with all the tours with the national team. I did 7 tours with the national team, and no, at UAB, Brian Shoup, who I worked with, was the third base coach. But I kid our third base coach, Cal Cheeseburger, all the time. If you get hit by a ball, look up in the press box, I'll come down.
That'll be good. That'll be good. I have to wonder if we're all playing checkers and you're playing chess. You got a flip phone. We've all got iPhones or whatever. I'm wondering how much better your quality of life is than ours with not having an iPhone.
It's tremendous. I mean, I eliminated all distractions when I was young because I felt like, I came from a middle-class home in Phoenix and was a good player at high school and Grand Canyon University. But if I want to be a coach, I can't be playing golf or hunting or going to the movies. I just had to really hopefully become the coach rather than a coach. And that's what I started. Went to New Mexico for a year, get my doctorate degree, and didn't get it. Then I went to Miami-Dade Junior College for 3. Head coach at Georgia Southern for 4. Back to the University of Miami. Mississippi State called. 2 tours there in between University of Georgia, and 12 years at UAB as a volunteer coach. John Corn, the athletic director at the time at Mississippi State, when Brian Shoup retired, he asked me if I'd come back, and I said, well, I'll be happy to, but I'm not going to charge you anything because I want to coach in the summer. And then I do a lot of speaking, too much. That's why my voice is raspy. That plus 6 or 7 cigars a day. And so
for how many years? 6 or 7 for how many years?
Oh, I'd say 45 years, maybe 46.
Okay.
And I did that because I was on the road so much. And a couple of times I almost fell asleep and hit the Natchez Trace, no barriers. And one time I don't know what happened. I put the brakes on and this big old tree was right in front of me. So people always said, I'd drive, coming back from recruiting or speaking and have to do a practice schedule and put it on the stencil and run it around to the athletic dorm and the ticket office, because then we had to do everything. I kid Chris Lamonis all the time. He has 11 full-time people in the baseball office. We had to do everything. So there were times, I got the window down, I'm singing 1,000 bottles of beer on the wall, the radio's blaring, I'm slapping, getting coffee every time I could, and people kept saying to me, you got to put something in your mouth. And I said, like what? He said, a cigarette. I said, no, not interested in that, or chewing tobacco. And then somebody else said, I think try cigars, see if cigars keep you awake. And so I'm on a country road in Alabama coming back late at night from something, and this country store was open up. I was going to get coffee, and there next to the cash register was a little cigar thing. Just a little puny cigars. So I said to the lady, let me have 2 of those. And I didn't even have matches. I never had a cigar in my mouth in my life. I lit that up, and I stayed awake all the way back to Starkville, and that's how it happened. That's where it started right there.
Do you have a particular cigar that you smoke now, or do you rotate?
I've been using the Hoya de Monterrey. It's an Honduras cigar, Maduro, and that's pretty much the one I use. But when I was traveling with USA Baseball, we traveled with the Cubans a lot. I guess I coached against the Cuban national team down in Cuba 3 times, international, and also we used to travel with them. And they'd always say, Coachy, cigar, and they'd give me one of theirs, and I'd give them one of mine. And the Cuban cigar is it's very expensive because it's tough to get.
Right.
They have an embargo on them. You only can get them out of Mexico or Canada. So it became a prized possession to have a Cuban cigar. And it's because Fidel Castro was a big cigar smoker. But I like mine even better than the Cuban cigars. But they used to give me cigars. And then when I started winning at Mississippi State, instead of getting $20 handshakes like some of our guys got, I got cigars. I hope the NCAA is not listening.
All of those years and all of that communication with the NCAA, I don't remember that ever being in any of your communication with them through the years.
They can't do anything to me now.
Not anything at this point. You have given the game of baseball more than can be measured. I'm curious what the game of baseball has given you.
Well, just lifetime of memories, my gosh, with players and coaches and managers and trainers and traveling and being fortunate enough to field some good ball clubs to get to Omaha, and some that just barely missed getting to Omaha. But watching my players leave us and go on to professional baseball, many did well. Some didn't, but for the most part, my guys have done a very good job with families and friends and make a little money for themselves. So I got a network of people, counting 11 years coaching summer ball, 7 at USA, and then the rest of them, all those schools. I keep in touch with just about every one of them. Send them a birthday card, Christmas card, anniversary card if I know it's their anniversary, and that's all hand done. And because they were part of my life, and I just feel like it's important for me to be a part of their life and know when their children are born and when their anniversary is, and stay in touch. And I do a pretty good job of doing that. And
that's fantastic. You said that you wouldn't let John Cohen pay you when you came back. I hope they're at least picking up the bill on all the stationery.
I get stationery I'm at the Bulldog Club, which is our fundraising organization. We'll not talk about NIL or portal here. That'd be another 2-hour segment. But no, because now I'm gone. I travel with the baseball team doing the color when Jay Powell's not able. He doesn't go any road trips, so I'm gone all summer coaching. I'm gone a lot in the spring, and then January and February, I'm booked pretty solid every day at a university function, athletic function, a baseball clinic, or a high school, junior college, preseason dinner, or an auditorium experience. So. And I don't charge anybody to speak, no gas money. Bulldog Club helps pay for the gas. And so I enjoy that, being around these kids and coaches and meeting with them and talking to them about one of the most important things that I always talk about is limit your distractions. These kids today have a lot of distractions, but going back to the flip-top phone, I don't have a computer. I got 22,000 Twitter followers. I don't know how to get on Twitter.
I don't think you can do that on the flip phone, by the way.
It's done by a gentleman, or 2 gentlemen up in Nashville that handle my baseball playbook sales, individual sales. And so I don't have, I have email at the university. I don't give it out just for travel. So I have no email, no computer, no iPhone. People everywhere say the same thing to me. I wish I could do that too. And I say, why don't you do it? He said, I can't survive. Yeah. I said, I survive very well. I have no names in my phone book, so my players know. If you call me, you better leave me your first name, your last name, and a telephone number. Because, I'll get a call or a text. I can text on a flip top. It takes forever. But I get a call. Hey, Coach, this is Bill. Give me a call. I called him back and said, Bill, who? He said, You don't have me in your phone book? I have nobody in my phone book. What's your last name? He tells me his last name. And he said, remember, I was your shortstop 44 years ago. I said, hey, great talking to you. Next time you call, leave a message. First name, last name, and your phone number. I got time.
Hey.
I got time to put those in the phone.
And this is real because when I asked him in Oxford a couple of weeks ago about joining us, he said, call me, leave me a message with your name and your phone number. And he was walking away. I said, well, do you text? He said, slowly. So
I'm pretty good, but you have to, in order to hit A, you have to hit
multiple times.
Multiple times. The old flip-top phone. I love it.
Why did you retire after 97?
Came back for the College World Series. I was tired of fighting the NCAA. Former president of all the baseball coaches, and we were having problems with scholarships for ostracized. We had 7 rules that no other sport had, and everybody was supportive, but nobody else felt like they could speak up. I was winning and support of the president, athletic directors, and somebody had to say, well, why is baseball the second largest producer of revenue for NCAA championships, dead last and everything? And the NCAA was holding us back, and we had a great graduate assistant program at Mississippi State, and then they took the GAs away from us and gave it to women's crew, and they had 20 scholarships already to our 11.7. And so I was letter writing, organizing, in addition to coaching, recruiting, and doing everything else you have to do, and I felt like it was time to just turn it over.
The Baseball Playbook by Ron Polk, originally published in 1982. 2 years ago, most of my family, I went to school at Ole Miss, so did my wife. My wife grew up in Clarksdale. Everybody on her side of the family went to Mississippi State. Her parents, her older brother, and so her older brother and his family went to a baseball banquet where you were speaking. They had the Baseball Playbook there for sale, as is the case at a lot of those places. They got one, and you signed it to me, personalized, and it is prominent spot on my bookshelf.
Did you pay for it?
No, they did. It was a gift to me, though.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, I mean,
so the long answer is no.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't imagine how many times people come up to me.
Coach got his royalties. Is all that matters.
Yeah.
Hundreds of times. Hey, I got your playbook. I said, did you pay for it?
I treasure it, and I look through it, and just it's everything about the game. And as much as the game has changed, it really hasn't changed that much.
90 feet bases, 60 feet 6 inches. But what's changed is people are trying to reinvent the game with analytics and a lot of rule changes. Everybody wants a tinker with something. Some of them are good and some of them I question, but the game hasn't changed. It really hasn't. But I even had a softball supplement because baseball and softball are very similar except for pitching and defensive alignments and hitting sometimes. But it did well. I mean, at one time we were the leading textbook for all the college baseball coaching classes in America until they disbanded them all. There's no more coaching football classes or coaching basketball, coaching baseball, except in a few schools. The reason was the dean of students were getting upset because the people teaching those classes were the coach and had only his athletes in the class, and everybody was getting A's. And so they decided, this ain't working. In fact, when I was at Georgia, Jim Herrick Jr. was the assistant coach to his dad, a good friend of mine, and he was teaching the Georgia basketball coaching class at Georgia. Only ones in it was his team. And the rumor was his midterm exam was one question: how many halves in basketball? And they all figured it out. A. So there's still a few schools, but most of my sales now, when I'm traveling, and then individual sales done by my Twitter people in Nashville.
There you go. Those Twitter people keep coming up to it. You always hit batting practice.
Yes.
Sweet Georgia Brown.
Infield, outfield.
Why? I'm sorry, I said batting practice. Infield, outfield.
Well, at Arizona, there was Frank Zanza, the head coach, had a different way of doing infield out, and I felt like there could even be a better way. I wanted the other team to walk in the dugout and get intimidated by what they see. It was a multi-ball outfield infield drill. We even started using orange baseballs that Worth Sporting Goods gave to me, but we had to give them up because they were a little lighter than the white balls, and the guys were overthrowing the bases. But people always say, I remember the infield outfield drill. Sweet Georgia Brown is, it's in rhyme with it. So when I took the job at Georgia, I told him, "Do you guys have Sweet Georgia Brown here?" He said, "Yeah, we got it here because you were in the state of Georgia." I said, "That's what I'm going to play at Georgia. That's what I've done forever." And so I took it up to the Cape Cod League and to put it in, and scouts everywhere. This is where all the best players play. And I remember a Yankee scout, got a few scouts together, came up to me after the second game I did it and said, "Ron, listen, we love your infield outfield. We've seen it before, but we're here to grade arms. We can't grade arms because there's too much going on." And so I had to go back to the regular infield outfield.
Really?
Well, there's too many things going on.
Sure.
Everything's quick. And, they're there to chart the center fielder, the right fielder, the third baseman, and they just can't watch. And now they'd probably take a camera and be able to do it. But
so what you were trying to accomplish and what the scouts needed to accomplish was not the same thing.
not in the Cape.
Yeah.
Coach, we got a text here. It says, "I'm one of Coach Polk's former players. Love the handwritten cards he sends. All the players appreciate him. He's one of a kind. Love him. Tell him David Mitchell wants to know who your second favorite center fielder was."
Well, this one's from Corinth, the little guy. He's only about 5'2". Only kidding. David David has a son that's a pretty good player at Corinth High School, but David's been a loyal Bulldog, and seen him occasionally at football games, and tell him I love him.
Will do.
I think you just told him.
I did?
Yeah, he's listening.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
there you
Dave,
go.
can I hear him?
No.
Oh, he texted you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he sent us a text.
I'm not
He's
used
listening
to
on the radio.
I'm not used to this stuff.
All this technology. Come on.
Now, hey, we got so many cameras. We have a pictures lab. It costs us $500,000. We got cameras and strobe lights and everything. Things have changed a lot.
They have changed a lot. This game, though, has not changed. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, midweek game happens every year. You and Jake Gibbs behind this. Tell me the story on how it started.
Well, then by '76, my first season, we were in divisions. We had West and East. We didn't play anybody the other side unless we wanted to play a midweek game with someone. So we didn't play Georgia or Florida, Tennessee.
And only 10 teams in the SEC at that
Right,
point.
5 and 5. So basically, we played like in Ole Miss, 3 in Oxford, 3 in Starkville, 6 games. And not that we both wanted to have the 7th game, but I got with Jake sometime, whether on the phone or whatever, and said, "Why don't we play a 7th game and go down to the capital city, see if we get the mayor involved and have a Mayor's Cup game also?" And he bought into it, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then what we did is we were making money, and then we had to make money. Now our coaches, because of all the resources coming in from the SEC, they just coach. We had to make money, building stadiums, make the money. We had to do that in addition to everything else. But so I said to Jake, I think what we'll do is have competition. Your alumni in Jackson and Hines and whatever, Hines County, Rankin County, whoever sells us a game ticket to their people, they keep the pro shirts from that sale, and we would sell ours. But the problem is we started winning big time, and all of a sudden they changed their mind because we were outselling them about 5-1.
So he wanted to split the gate at that point.
Yeah, split the gate. No more split the gate.
You want us to come, we're going to split it in half.
And I did the same thing at Georgia with Danny Hall at Georgia Tech. We planned, I called John Sherholz, the general manager of the Atlanta Braves, and we were going to play a game in Turner Field. Well, I left to go back to Mississippi State. They continued to play that game for many years. They made it a charity event, and had 25 or 30,000 people at the ball game.
Just absolutely incredible. You got to leave games early from time to time.
You mean throw it out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When you went to argue, did you know if you were going to be ejected when that started?
Most of the time I knew probably I'm going to the house, get a cigar going. Yeah.
Okay.
And there were times I really went out there, and I wasn't really mad at the umpire. It's just we were losing like 10-0. It was hot or cold, and I just wanted to get out of here.
Just get ready to get out of here.
So I knew what the magic words always were. I never cussed an umpire, I never bumped an umpire. I'd say, how did we ever get a junior high school umpire working the Southeastern Conference game? Well, that's automatic ejection.
You're gone.
And so I led the SEC just about every year in getting thrown out, mainly because I had a signal system from our catchers or hitters, base runners, and infielders. If there's a close play and you think, we got the raw end of the deal, you may see it better than me, I had a signal from the catchers different, the hitters, to me in the dugout, hey, grab my right ear, come out and help me. Well, if I know for sure the call was right, I could see it, I'm not going to do it. But if it's a bang-bang call and we got the bad end of the stick, the umpire may have been out of position, I'll go out. And I got thrown out 3 times in Lexington, Kentucky, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon.
Wow. Was it the same umpire?
Same umpire.
All 3.
He was at third base Friday night, bad call, thrown out. That was when we had a 3-man system. Now we have 4. So at first base, bad calls. And then Sunday at lineup exchange, I told him he had a rotten weekend. You're terrible. And he disagreed, and finally it got to the point where he threw me out of the game in the first inning. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Did you ever get thrown out in this game?
I don't think I can't remember that. No, I've been thrown out. I've been thrown out in Cuba, Japan.
International incident.
Because the umpires don't talk English. They know when I go like this, though. They know what that means.
I know what it means. He gave the choke signal. Rick Stansberry got to spend some time with you for that one time. We're out of time. Yeah. Thank you.